Okay, I am here with Mackenzie Stiller, Mac Judo, 1-0 pro with a 4-0 amateur record, heading into Bellator 299 this weekend in Dublin, taking on Kiara Penko. Biggest fight of her career to this point. Mackenzie, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Great to have you on. We're less than a week out from the fight. So just give us the rundown how this next few days is going to look for you.
Um, well, I'm still gonna get my workouts in, but they're gonna be more of a chill workout, like just to sweat, and just to go over the game plan a little, just to move around and not just be stationary. Get the blood pumping for the fight.
Yeah, so you're based in Wisconsin. When are you making the trip over to Dublin?
We fly out tomorrow night.
Yeah. Yeah. You got workouts all sorted for when you're there as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, perfect. Um, Kiara Penko, the opponent this time out, she's someone who's been in Bellator for a few years now. She's been around the European scene for a while, but how familiar were you with her coming into this one?
Oh, I didn't know she existed until I saw the footage a couple months ago.
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty cool know to uh to know that there's another girl like fighting for the same reasons I'm fighting. Just to know that there's a lot more girls out there that I don't really know about. Just is pretty cool.
Is this the first time that's been the case for your career? Because obviously, as an amateur, you're kind of around the same area. Then coming into Bellator with Maria Henderson, she kind of had a name. So is this the first time this has been the case for you?
Um, I mean, probably the only big names are probably Maria Henderson and this girl. Other than that, no one else really knew the
Yeah.
other one.
So obviously, you talk about seeing the tape. You've seen the tape. You've had a while now to prepare for Kiara. What are your thoughts on her?
She's probably gonna be the toughest opponent. She hits straight and hard, so and she doesn't back down. So it'll be a tough fight, but I'll end up getting the W.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah, she's had 11 fights, 5 fights in Bellator. So with that experience, it's quite a jump up from the kind of competition you have been facing, isn't it?
Yes, it is a jump up. She has way more experience. I just have to keep it smart and go with my game plan, and everything should fall into place.
Obviously, your record's perfect to this point, through amateur and pro. Were you keen to really make a big jump up at this point? Was it something Bellator kind of pushed you to, or was it like, now it's time to really I may only be 1-0 and she's had 11 fights, but it's the right time.
I think it's great to get the harder people now because then like the people on the outside just see this inexperienced person, and then
Mm.
I like it because when the outcome goes the way I plan it to go, then it's just a big uproar, and then my name gets put out there more, and I prove to them that uh that I can bang with these experienced girls, like I'm not just some fluke. I could sit there and win over these experienced girls. So I just like being the underdog. So it's like not expected for me to win.
Yeah. It was a bit like that last time as well. Obviously, you and Maria had the same experience, but obviously she's the wife of Benson Henderson. She had the hype coming into that one, and you really kind of just shut her down and completely dominated that fight out of nowhere to a lot of people.
Yes, I was definitely the underdog just because she had the last name Henderson. That doesn't mean you are Henderson.
Yeah. So one thing which when I was doing some research on you, you were only training for a year before your first amateur fight, is that right?
Yes, only a year before I had my first fight in MMA.
Yeah, and then that was only March of last year. This is a really quick turnaround to, now going into your second pro fight in one of the world's largest organizations. What has this kind of quick rise been like for you? And have you had time to kind of relax and think, this is kind of crazy?
Well, no, I like it. I like the fast moving train. I don't like to be stationary. I had to go pro so soon because all the amateur girls would always say no. Like they wouldn't want to fight me. So I had to get fights in and I wanted to stay active. And so, I mean, give me anyone, anywhere, any fight, I'll fight them. I'm not scared to fight. I'm doing what I love to do. And I'm very confident in it. So.
You obviously talk about moving fast and obviously wanting to improve. I heard you say in another interview that you've kind of been focusing on a lot of your striking recently, coming into this one. We're obviously nearly at the fight, so where do you kind of evaluate the growth in your striking from the last fight back in April to now coming into this one?
Um, there's been a few barriers broken. I mean, it's you're not gonna watch the fight and be like, wow, she's a world class Muay Thai fighter. No, I
Well,
mean, you don't,
that's because you're gonna get a takedown immediately and get a submission, right?
whatever the fans think, I'll show you guys Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I'm looking forward to seeing. But yeah, you obviously signed a long-term deal with Bellator after that Maria Henderson fight. Was that something kind of in your mind going into that one that, if I get the win here, they might try to put that stock into me?
Yeah, I was pretty confident that they were gonna throw something at us if I performed the way my coaches prepared me to perform.
Yeah, and how quickly after the win did that contract come?
Well, the contract came like a week later, but the phone call about the contract came like 5 or 10 minutes after I fought.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously with a long-term deal with Bellator, there's a little bit of uncertainty with around like the promotion at the minute. But just kind of for you in the position that you're at early in your career, how do you see these next 2, 3 fights, that progression going for you?
I think I'm going to blow through this contract like nothing, and the next contract, big things are coming.
Yeah, it said a long-term contract. How many fights is that?
4 fights for this contract.
Yeah. Um, Obviously, just as a fighter in Bellator, though, with the uncertainty around the future of the promotion, is that something that you kind of take notice of, or are you just trying to push all that to the side and focus on you?
I just focus on myself always. I don't get into the politics of it unless it generally affects me in any way. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, we talked about at the start, you're making the trip to Dublin for this one. And a big part of the experience of a fight week in Dublin is the crowd. They're quite loud, they're quite rowdy, they're really raucous. You, firstly, is there anything in your career that comes close to what we're gonna see? Or who do we have here? Who do we have next to you?
My cat's trying to get after the camera.
Yeah. So the crowd in Dublin, is there anything you will have experienced even close to that? And obviously the schedule can change, but you're slated as the first fighter to make that walk out on Saturday. So can you just visualize in your mind what that's going to be like walking out here in that loud noise from the Irish crowd?
I can't imagine. I haven't been in like a crowd that big before, but like in judo, jiu-jitsu, and wrestling, I've been to national, international, state tournaments where I do walk down a stage and smokes around, the crowd screaming, there's posters. Like I'm very familiar with that. But like I said before, I've never been to a crowd that big, but I'm still familiar with all the screaming and shouting.
Yeah, and I mean, I was talking to a fighter a couple of days ago who's also on the card. He's fought in Ireland a couple of times before, but he was always fighting the Irish fighter in those times. You haven't got to worry about that. You haven't got. They're not going to be on your back as much. They're just going to be loud. So, I mean, that's a little thing you don't need to worry about as much.
I wouldn't worry about it anyways. I would love for them to boo me just to show them at the end, like you're booing for nothing.
Yeah. Obviously, while you're in Dublin, how long are you staying for?
So we get there Tuesday morning, early Tuesday, and then we fly out early Sunday.
Oh, so just straight in, handle business, no time for tourism or anything like that.
That's okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's still a cool experience.
Yeah. You'll have more opportunities to kind of travel the world and everything, I'm sure. Finally, back on the fight, give us a hard sell. Yourself, Kiara Penko, when you two meet in the cage at the Three Arena on Saturday, what can fans expect?
Um, Dominant performance against a big underdog. I mean, for a big underdog. The underdog's gonna be dominating, and the rest of it, y'all just have to tune in and see. what I do best.
Perfect. Mackenzie Stiller, thanks for taking the time. Obviously, Bellator 299 this Saturday. iPlayer, BBC here in the UK on Showtime in the US. Feel free just before we finish here to shout out any sponsors you've got and where people can kind of follow what you're doing.
Yes, I would like to shout out my sorry.
You're okay.
Where is it? Ah, okay. I would just like I can't find it right now. I'm sorry. So I just like to
Oh, there you go.
shout out sponsors and my coaches, family, anyone who supports me. Thank you for giving me the time for the interview. And I can't wait to perform for all of you guys. Make you proud.
Well, thank you for taking the time today so close to the fight. You've got a busy next few days, so I'll let you get some rest, I guess. Thanks for taking the time and best of luck.
Yep, thank you.